Those who have not met me, my name is Randula. It's the first time I'm leading in this Theravada class on a Monday. And are there anyone who's new to the class as well today? No. Okay, great. So what we'll do is I'll light the candles and the incense, and then we'll do a dedication of offerings, and then take the three reflections and the five precepts, and we'll do a little meditation, and I'll do a bit of sharing, and then there's time for question and answers. That's the format. So I'll just light the candles now. Yoso Bhagava Araham Samma Sambuddho, to the Blessed One, the Lord who fully attained perfect enlightenment. Swakato yena Bhagavata Dhammo, to the teaching which he expounded so well. Supatipanno yassa bhagavato savaka sangho, and to the Blessed One's disciples who have practiced well. Tammayam bhagavantam sadhammam satsangam, to these the Buddha, the Dhamma and the Sangha. Ime sakare yataraha aropite abhipujayama. We render with offerings our rightful homage. Sadhuno bhante bhagava suchiraparini bhutopi. It is well for us that the Blessed One, having attained liberation, Achima Janatanukampananasa, still had compassion for later generations. Ime sakare dugatapanna karabhupe patiganhatu. May these simple offerings be accepted. Amhakandi garatam vitaya sukhaya, for our long-lasting benefit and for the happiness it gives us. Araham Samma Sambuddho Bhagava, the Lord, the perfectly enlightened and blessed One. Buddham Bhagavantam Abhivademi, I render homage to the Buddha, the Blessed One. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo, the teaching so completely explained by him. Dhammam Namasami, I bow to the Dhamma. Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho. The Blessed One's disciples who have practiced well. Sangham Namami. I bow to the Sangha. To the three refuges and five priests. $128.
28.
Yeah, but yours must be big.
That's it.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Sangham saranam gacchami. Tatyampi Buddham saranam gacchami, Tatyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami, Tatyampi Sangham saranam gacchami. Panatipata Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from taking the life of any living creature. Adinadana Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami. I undertake the precepts to refrain from taking that which is not given. Kamesu Michachara Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from sexual misconduct. Musavada Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from lying. Surameraya Majjapamadhatana Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from consuming intoxicating drink and drugs which lead to carelessness. Imani pancha sikkhapadani silena sugatin yanti silena bhoga sampada silena nibbudin yanti tasma silam visodhaye. These are the five precepts. Virtue is a source of happiness. Virtue is a source of true wealth. Virtue is a source of peacefulness. Therefore, let virtue be purified. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, so take your sitting posture. Slowly breathing into the body, and gently breathing out. Just noticing the rhythmic movement as the air enters the nostrils, how the chest expands and the tummy sinks in. The shoulders slightly raise up. So as the breath comes in, there is movement out in the chest and shoulders, movement in the tummy area, and if you notice carefully, you might notice the arms slightly moving up too. So air coming in, creating this movement in the body, making space for it to come in. And then the body is still for a moment. There was this movement, and then it stops. And the whole thing drops. The shoulders drop, the chest drops, the tummy muscles relax, and the air just leaves. there's this active process of drawing breath in. It's energizing. And then we pause, and as the air goes out, the whole system relaxes. It takes a rest for those few seconds. Just like filling in a balloon. Force the air in, stretching the balloon, stretching the body. And as the balloon deflates, it just collapses on itself. And the more we keep noticing this movement of the breath, you'll notice how the chest doesn't have to move so much. The breathing becomes shallower and shallower. And we can also begin to notice how the time taken for the in-breath and the out-breath gets longer and longer. And as the attention has been with the breath, the mind becomes calmer, quieter, more pleasant space. There's a natural slowing down of the whole system of mind and body. A natural settling in, like the mud in the river. Just observing natural processes as they happen, not interfering. the natural brightness, clarity, purity of the mind is revealed like the mud settling down, leading the clear water. Now in this space, we observe things floating by, casting no judgment, no opinion, no story, no answer. As we've been sitting here for the past few minutes, initially watching the breath and how it changed, and with that the mind, how the whole process settled down, and then observing the world pass by without hooking onto it, judging it, having an opinion about it, just letting it be. We're opening up the space of allowing the world to be how it is. And then kindness and compassion naturally arises. A sense of joy and peace. This we can share with those who are sitting here with us. Those who have made this practice for us possible. Those we've met today, we might meet tomorrow. Those we've known in our lives. Those beings far away. Those beings waiting to be born. Those beings that are about to die. Those beings that we never ever heard of. Never knew of their existence, and will never know. Without an opinion, prejudice, and bias. This peace and compassion can infuse all beings. For there's nothing that cannot be welcomed, that cannot be accepted, that cannot be loved. May all beings be well and happy. May all beings be well and happy. May all beings be well and happy. So, thank you all for joining us on this meditation, this journey that we went together, feeling the connectedness. And I have been reflecting on this connectedness in my journey, and also in relation to the Buddhist Society itself and the monastery. So I went to a school which was actually founded by the founders of the Buddhist Society. So in the late 19th century, it was a British colonial period, and there was a lady Blavatsky, a Russian lady, and there was Henry Steele Olcott, an American. And he was a lawyer, and they had by chance met, and they both were searching for a universal truth. Somehow something within them felt that there is a universal truth that will connect the Western ideologies and the Eastern ideologies and searches for truth. And so they formed the Theosophical Society in search of this. And through their search, they actually felt more connected with Buddhism. And after a while, they called it the Buddhist Theosophical Society. And their journey found themselves in Ceylon, which is Sri Lanka nowadays. And they were the first Americans, because a lady became an American citizen, to have taken the 3 refuges in the 5 precepts formally. It says the first Americans, so I don't know whether they're the first Westerners. So they were these lay people who wanted to then revive Buddhism, which was, there was a decay in Buddhism at the time in the East because of the promotion of Christianity. It was dying down. And in Sri Lanka as well, there was another lay person called Anagarika Dharmapala. Anagarika means the homeless person, who he was taking the 8 precepts. Dharmapala means the guardian of the Dhamma. So that was the name he took. His name before that was David Hevavitarana. So he had to have an English name at the time. And he was in his 20s, and he was also really interested in exploring scientific understanding and also the universal truth in the Buddhism. And so that took him to meeting Olcott and Blavatsky. And together they did an enormous amount of work to bring back Buddhism into light, so that it could be practiced, it could be taught in schools, it had government backup, and it wasn't trampled down. And this Anagarika Dharmapala, he went to Europe and America and spoke of Buddhism, which I find quite inspiring back in the day where the brown skin would have been considered, people wouldn't have wanted to listen if it was a brown skinned person speaking. And also of a religion that was being almost denigrated. And there was once where he had gone to this conference and he spoke up saying, how many of you have read the life of the Buddha, how many of you have read the Quran? And it's been very few people. And he said, so how can you then say there's nothing worthy in these religions? And that really shook people up. And he was able to make this wave of transforming the world of spirituality that was dying, and bringing back Buddhism and this truth so that people can learn and understand and have access to it. And he was apparently the first lay person that had taught in modern history Buddhism in America and Europe and Asia. And they started schools in Sri Lanka. And so I went to one of those schools. It was formed in 1893. There's a lady called Musius Higgins, a German lady, who's married to a gentleman from the Theosophical Society. And she was an educationalist, and so she was also interested in the search of the truth and Buddhism and education. And so her journey found her also in Sri Lanka and to the service of for the truth, for the Dhamma. And she formed a school. It was called Musius College after her name. And it started off with just 12 students. And Olcott was involved, and a gentleman called Peter Diabru. They donated their land, and Annie Besant. And it was quite remarkable, I felt, where these Westerners came to revive Buddhism that was being downtrodden by Western ideology. And there were women in there as well. And also in a time where we don't have internet in the 19th century, from so many different countries, people got together because of their faith and belief that they had in this, how precious this was. And they've left their own countries, hundreds of families so many miles away, and they probably had to write letters to communicate, but they dedicated their lives to this cause. And because of their efforts, I had an education in a Buddhist school, and Buddhism was still preserved, and we didn't lose it. And Anagarika Dharmapala also went to India, and he found the holy sites in India where the Bodh Gaya and Saranath, and made it again available for Buddhists to go and pay homage. And it was this Theosophical Society, then a branch of it became the Buddhist Society with Christmas Humphreys. And so I when Odin told me, Randula, are you happy to come and do some sessions in the Theravada class in the Buddhist Society? I was like, it was quite surreal. I felt like I benefited so much from the founders of this society, and to be a product of their efforts, and then to come back from the East to here, to then tell them, yes, what you did was worthwhile. All your efforts were worthwhile. And then also I found is the connection with this class is with Amaravati. Because I remember when I came from Sri Lanka to England, some of my school teachers told me, I don't think England's going to suit you. They had this idea of the West of, I suppose, drugs, sex, and alcohol. And then I come here and I find this haven of Dhamma here. And I realize, gosh, that was a Westerner again, Ajahn Sumedho, an American, again another American like Henry Steele Olcott. He went to Thailand, found the Dhamma there, and then the English gentleman here, George Sharp, invited the Dhamma, them to come here and establish the monastic Sangha here. So I found how Henry Olcott and Blavatsky and Anagarika Dharmapala were lay people. They were really promoting, reviving Buddhism, bringing education in, and from a lay perspective, there were monks as well in that struggle, Valpola Rao, Hulatero, and Ananda Maitri. But there was a lot of lay people. And the practice that was coming through was from lay people. But here, with Ajahn Sumedho, to the west, we got the Theravada monastic Sangha came, and the forest Sangha. And when I was growing up, so I had the school I went to, the Buddhism, but where I was living, it was in the city, but my neighbors who had a separate section in their house where the forest monks in Sri Lanka used to come and stay when they want to come to the city for meditation workshops or for medicine. So I also grew up with this exposure to the forest tradition. And so then I come to England and I find Amaravati. I was like, wow, I found the forest Sangha here. And then I meeting people like Nick and Martin through the Lay Buddhist Association. And I remember being very inspired by seeing them. I remember my first reaction was, wow, are there people like that? How can, really, such love, such sort of human beings? And my first question was, what is it that they are doing? How are these people like this? And I thought, oh, I want to be like them. Not what they're doing in terms of, no, I can't be a white Englishman or. But I also didn't want to be, teaching Dhamma or anything like that. But I just wanted to be the person, the humanity that they had within themselves. So I wonder, what is it that they do? I reflected on this and I thought, oh, they are practicing the path. They're practicing the Noble Eightfold Path. And I thought, oh, I should do that too. And what inspired me was that lay people can do it too. And so I found that Amaravati Monastery with the Forest Sangha and then the Lay Buddhist Association with this sort of inspiring role models really inspired me to practice. And then I find the Buddhist Society, and then I find this whole kind of circle. It's like I've done this whole circle of this journey, and almost you come back home. It's like you left home and you moved to a different place, but you're still home. And it's fascinating. I find with the Dhamma, if you're connected to the Dhamma, somehow the physical form has changed, but it's like different characters, but the same, almost like the same story, or there's so much connection, and how we think we're so divided, like the West and the East, or the past and the present and the future, but they're so connected. We're so connected with the people who lived before us, and we will be with the people who are going to live after us. And we're so connected that the people who live in the West and the people who live in the East. But without seeing this, we create all these divisions. Without seeing this, we don't respect and honor and have gratitude for those who have been before us. And without knowing this, we live as if no one else is going to live after us. But when we know that we are all connected, East and West, and present and future and past, we can live with respect and gratitude and compassion. And our self-importance diminishes. We are just this one being in this universal existence which transcends place and time. And the Buddha found this path that was always here. It's almost like he was digging to find water, and then he found the water. And then this human chain over time has formed, and this water is flowing through this human chain. So that's all we are. We just the Dhamma flowing through us so that people around us and people after us will benefit. And if you're the light that has the Dhamma, and you're the last person who dies, then there's no light after that. So with compassion, we have to share that light. In gratitude and in honor for those who have been, the thousands of people, millions, since the time of the Buddha, who have practiced and worked so hard, sacrificed their time and life to keep it alive. And we can then keep it alive for people who are going to come after us. So I wanted to say first, this maybe express our gratitude to all those beings and share kindness and compassion that we generate through this practice to all beings. I will end with one thing that I recently heard one of the monks tell. I went and stayed in this monastery in Devon, called Hartridge, a small monastery. Ajahn Chah was an acting abbot there. He was saying in the meditation, he said, if you think this practice is for yourself, for your own benefit, your path will end there. This practice is not for your benefit, not for your own benefit alone. This practice is for the benefit of all beings. And we must remember that. And we've got about 15 minutes, I think. If you have anything to share, or if you want to ask anything, this is the time. I think you can unmute yourself, I would thought. Or maybe raise a hand. Oh, Will, yes.
Hi, Randula. Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for this evening. And it was really thought-provoking, inspiring to hear your journey. And it just made me reflect as well. I have a young daughter, and I suppose just naturally in time, I will hopefully just start introducing her to some of the principles I found beneficial through the society in Buddhism. But I suppose I'm, in terms of friends, family, social circle, I'm a bit of an anomaly being in the Buddhist practice. I just wondered what you found so beneficial, sort of through your upbringing and education, with the sort of journey you described, and Any sort of thoughts really or wisdom from your journey having grown up in a sort of Buddhist context, if you like.
Benefit for with how to relate to family, or
I'm just interested in what were the sorts of principles and values you felt were imparted onto you and through your
for your daughter.
just being surrounded by it. Exactly. Yes, exactly.
Yes. Well, what I found, a few things. One was my grandmother taught me the 5 precepts, and what I did was I'm quite a visual person, so the 5 precepts I had like little pictures in my head, like not killing anything, and then you have a cross on it, and not stealing, and so the 5 precepts, something that I was told. The other thing was sharing your goodness with other people, and sharing and generosity in general. The other thing was, we had this thing where you were given a little book to write down all the good things that you've done. And in Sinhalese, it's called a ping pota, which is literally translated as a merit book. Basically, the idea behind it is that when you die, then you have all this merit. It's almost like you have your diary, but it's all full of all the good things you've done, all the collection, instead of all the stories, it's all just a book. And then apparently at your deathbed, people will start reading it out to you. So you will recollect all the good things you've done on the time you die. Anyway, I started writing it, and I thought, oh, but this is going to be so long. So I stopped it. But I understand now from that conditioning is that it generates more of a love for yourself, for your own goodness, and also giving you confidence in your own good. It's not to create an ego. You can go the other way. You can create an ego about your own good. But if you it's like anything with Dhamma, you can hold it in the wrong way. But if you hold it correctly, it's more to encourage doing good, and then reflecting on it, and to create that space of the joy, really, the joy of that. So yeah, I found those principles, I think, very helpful.
Thank you, Randula. Thank you very much.
Susan.
Hello, Randula. Thank you so much for your lovely talk, and the feeling of the connections, and your particular cycle in life, which is really interesting. I myself often reflect on the connections that have appeared in my life, perhaps not quite as clearly traced as yours. But for example, when I was very young, I read Madame Blavatsky and knew about the Theosophical Society, but without knowing about today's Buddhist Society. And then at some point in my life, when I was living in London, I knew George Sharp as well. And it's only in more recent years that I felt this pull towards Buddhism. And have come, first of all, just by listening and following people on the internet, very often people from America. And then just a year or two ago, I discovered the Buddhist Society, and then through the Buddhist Society, Amaravati, and all the people who've been so kind and helpful and helped me along on my journey. So it really, I really feel very strongly this feeling that it was kind of meant to be, and that the connections are happening. And so, yes, I totally understand your own journey, which was really, really beautiful. And thank you very much for sharing with us.
Thank you too. You can say something. So people in the room as well.
Yeah, sure. Can I ask what kind of life you lead? I mean, professionally, just to get an idea. Are you in the medical profession? Or you are. So, how does Buddhism practice help you in what you do? Because it must be hell these days for the NHS.
It's a very good question. That would be another talk. It's actually really helpful, to the point where I felt like maybe the monastery should be in the hospital. Because you have sickness and death and everything in front of you, the body, the whole process, and selfless compassion, because like you said, it is a bit like hell, because there's no time to go to the toilet or have lunch, or so you have to almost give yourself to the work, to serving, to helping people, and then you also see the sick and the dying, and then you can understand the Buddhist teachings of this, and if you contemplate, you can see it's a bit like a revolving door. You treat someone and you know that, oh, they're gonna come, they'll be back. This is a temporary fix, and you wonder, all we're doing is temporarily fixing people to be well for temporarily, but they're gonna fall sick again. So that's, and then also in the help of the mind as well, it's very helpful in helping others physically, but also they come in distress with anxiety and depression, and then with the Buddhist teachings, there's so much that you can offer to help them, and to be and listen, and also in the practice when it gets for my own practice, you can listening to other people, and also sometimes people come in distress or quite angry, very frustrated with the whole system. And so you can receive, so that it's an enormous potential for the Dhamma practice and applying it.
How do you create the gaps in your hectic activity and manage to come back again and again to where you are? Have you got any tricks?
I found that the two things I found. One was I reflected on the like you do like a long shift in 12, 13 hours, and you go home and you some days you feel tired and some days you don't feel. I felt just a different. And I reflected, oh, why is this? It's the same type of work. So why is it that once I feel tired and I don't? And counterintuitive to what we think, the days that I didn't think about myself, I wasn't tired. The days I thought, oh, I haven't had a toilet break, or why are you coming again? Oh my gosh, another person, why are you coming? Those days I was very tired. The days I didn't, I was like, oh, just giving, okay. The selfless giving, your mind is not tired. And the other thing I found is that when I receive an unpleasant experience, I reflected and realized that unpleasant experience was only very short-lived. Might be a few minutes or even a few seconds. And if I just bear with that unpleasant experience, it's completely fine. But my whole stress and suffering and frustration comes from my reaction to that unpleasant experience of, why is this like this? Oh my gosh, why are you doing this? All that was the unpleasantness. Whereas the situation actually wasn't even a fraction of that unpleasantness. So being able to be with that slight unpleasantness when it arises and be patient, and it's much better.
Thank you very much. Lovely.
I managed to do that in 5 minutes.
if you want another one. Do you find that the 5 precepts are good enough in a medical setting, and you can fall back on them for decisions that you've got to take there and then on your own 2 feet, and sometimes it might be life and death or whatever?
I don't know whether everyone heard that question. So you're asking whether the 5 precepts are
Good enough as a fallback position from which, opening your heart, you can make decisions there and then. Because nowadays it is becoming more and more complicated, in those environments. What is life? What is death? When does it begin? When does it end? Yeah, and should I give the chap a little more, and I might not kick him off forever if I do that, or all sorts of things.
Oh, I see. For me, I think it's more staying with your intention. So if you stay with this intention of harmlessness,
yeah,
and wanting to help, I mean, that's all you can do.
Yeah, it is a very good answer.
You
actually.
just don't know. It's out of your control. You could give the same thing to so many different people, and the outcome could be different. So all you can stay with, I tried my best. I thought I did what I thought would work.
Thank you.
So anyone else on Zoom that have anything to share?
Hello, Randula. It's Madeline. It's just to say it was really nice to see that you were going to be talking to us this evening. And it was really lovely to hear your story and your journey. It's really very inspiring, and I enjoyed hearing it very much indeed. And look forward to hearing more from you when at the Buddhist Society. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Madeline.
Bowing it.
Very kind. And I would say thank you to it was Odin, because I was coming to the Buddhist Society with Martin. and Odin asked, would you be happy to? And then Nick and Martin and Ajahn Chah Siri supported the idea, and I remember telling one of my Dhamma friends, I can't believe Ajahn Chah Siri said nice things, and he said, why are you surprised? It's Ajahn Chah Siri. And I said, oh yeah, of course. Why would Ajahn Chah Siri say something bad? Say something awful. So it's really nice to be amongst lovely people, I think. Very blessed. And all of you, everybody here. Oh, Dan Doyle.
There we go. Yeah, it's so nice being here this evening. And many years ago, my father told me that children should be seen and never heard. And me never agreeing with him ever since then, I've always just kept talking no matter what the situation is. And I guess it's a good thing sometimes, and sometimes it's been a bad thing. But seeing you, a young person, involved in teaching and sharing with others is so very, very important for the future of anything we do. And I just wanted to express my appreciation for you doing what you're doing. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Dan. I must say, I'm probably older than I look.
I wish I could say the same. No, I wish I could say the reverse. I'm sorry. That's it, the reverse.
Yes. Our friend here says you're young at heart.
Yeah, my ex said I never had one, so I don't know. It's also good to laugh.
It's a good thing you come to Dhamma, you realize, oh, I've always had it. Good, thank you very much. So maybe we can then finish with a chant. Which one shall we do?
I'm just going to try and tell me off on it. Maybe 16 about.
Reflection on universal well-being. Now let us chant the reflections on universal well-being. May I abide in well-being, in freedom from affliction, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may I maintain well-being in myself. May everyone abide in well-being, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may they maintain well-being in themselves. May all beings be released from all suffering, and may they not be parted from the good fortune they have attained. When they act upon intention, all beings are the owners of their action and inherit its results. Their future is born from such action, companion to such action, and its results will be their home. All actions with intention, be they skillful or harmful, of such acts they will be the heirs. Down. Arahant Samma Sambuddho Bhagava, the Lord, the perfectly enlightened and blessed one, Buddham Bhagavantam Abhivademi. I render homage to the Buddha, the blessed one. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo, the teaching so completely explained by him. Dhammam Namasami, I bow to the Dhamma. Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho, the Blessed One's disciples who have practiced well. Sangham Namami, I bow to the Sangha. Thank you, Martin. Thank you, everybody, and have a lovely week, and see you next week.
Thank you.